I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, May the 27th, brought to you in part by Kansas Regenerative Medical Center. Kansas RMC has been treating patients with stem cell therapy for well over a decade. Consider it an alternative to surgery if you're facing something like that. For more information, go to kansasrmc.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards going to have another big run for them. They just keep having big sales. They'll have close to 5,000 head there on Tuesday for the feeder cattle auction. Got about 700 calves, most of them weighing 4 to 6, and about half of them weaned. They are going to have in that 171 head coming from OPSU's rodeo team there from Robert Ettbauer, and 171 steers and heifers. They're going to have a little bit of cross look to them, but they are foolproof. I mean, they've roped them, they've done everything with them, and they're well straightened up. Just getting too big to rope, going to have to get something smaller. But come and check out those calves. They've got two deals also, 80 to 100 head of unweaned calves, but they are pretty fancy there. Then I have 1,000 head of feeder heifers. Most of them weighing 600 to 800 pounds. I'll have 8 to 10 loads of heifers in load lots. One 900-pound load of northern quality reputation deals for replacements, and then there'll be 2 loads from 750 to 850 northern quality replacement heifers if you're interested in those. They'll have 2,500 yearling steers. Most of them weighing 8 to 1,000 pounds. There'll be 35 loads of steers. They do have included in that 500 head of the Ratcliffs, big fancy steers, and they'll be northern quality and unbelievably good. They'll be weighing about 10.5 for an average there on them. And then they've got another consignment of 700 head. He's got 500 are going to weigh from 875 to 9.25, but there'll be lots of bunches of grazing steers too. Lighter grazing steers. So if you're interested in something like that, check them out. Gonna have 350 to 400 cows. Have a few pairs and a few older bred cows if you're interested in something like that. Check them out at DVAuction.com. Status quo. And I guess we're maybe getting back into a status quo here. This market, it withstood the big key reversal that we went through there a week or two ago, and then staved off all the pressure, all the technical pressure, and come back strong. We never did see the fat cattle market dip any. We did see the feeder cattle market dip a little, but it seems to have come right back. So we just want to keep going where we've been and keep right on moving here. Hope you guys had a nice Memorial Day weekend. Hope you got some of the widespread rains that were going across the midsection of the country if you live there. Not sure how the moisture is out in other areas, but we've had a lot of good moisture up through the Central Plains and up through South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas got some. Texas, whole state of Texas got drenched. So we're running pretty good right there. We did have that cattle on feed report that come out on Friday, and it was just neutral. So like I said, maybe everything will stay just like it was. Your on feed inventories come out at 98.5% of a year ago. That's exactly what the analysts thought it would be. It's amazing that they get that close. The placements come out just a little bit more, about 0.5% bigger than what they thought, at 97.4 compared to the average guess of 96.9. But then the marketings, they missed to the good side. So marketing come out 97.4, and your average guess was 96.7. So just a good report come out, and it's absolutely neutral, so we'll just go with that. Also had a cold storage report come out on Friday. Said that our beef in cold storage is 2% less than a month ago and 2% less than a year ago. So a little bit on that. These boneless beef supplies are getting short. Our slaughter cows are getting short, and the price is represented there. That's one nice thing about slaughter cows is they sell the bulk of them in auctions, and boy, you can tell about that supply and demand. They get short of them, they come after them, and the price goes up. A lot of these best slaughter cows are bringing up in the 160s now. That is really good, and of course the bull's bringing over $2 a pound, but pretty good week there. And didn't have a lot of feeder cattle auctions over the weekend, and we were a little bit didn't finish our trade up, our fat cattle trade either. They hadn't sold as many as they needed to, so I'm not sure if they're going to be extremely tight coming in, or they got some done, trading done over the weekend, Friday afternoon, and we'll find out about that for sure on our next visit. But talk about your board for last week. June live cattle, Monday was up 75, Tuesday was up 20, Wednesday up 97, Thursday up 147, and Friday up 17, up every single day of the week, ending at 215.80, up 358 for the week. August ended the week at 210.45, and that was up 370 for the week. May feeder cattle, Monday was up or down. Monday was down 117. Tuesday was up 32 cents. Wednesday was up 30 cents. Thursday was down 90 cents, and Wednesday up just 6 cents a bushel, or 6 cents a pound. Excuse me. That rounded out at 295.46. That was down $1.39. August ended at $300.37, higher than what May is, and we're just expecting a good summer here, and that was up 277. Corn, July corn, 459.5 ending the week, and that was up 16 cents for the week. Beans for July, 10.60 1/4, up 10 1/4 for the week. And Kansas City hard red winter wheat was settling at 538 3/4, and that is up 22 1/4 cent for the week. Your fat cattle trade, not much trade really. Up through Thursday, they'd sold 33,700 head. That ain't nothing. So we're not sure if they did a lot more late Friday, kind of after the board, or after the board closed, and after that report come out. It's just unclear. I doubt they did a whole lot, and it's going to be kind of a light week, I expect. But live sales of fat steers and heifers ran from 219 to 231. That was steady to a buck higher. Weighted average on live steers was 229.51. That was up 285. The main reason that was up so much is because the Southern Plains didn't trade hardly anything. And when they didn't trade, and they're running it at a more than $10 discount to the Northern Plains. That's ridiculous. They've just done that through not being able to trade the cattle, because they don't typically trade the cattle, and they're just falling farther and farther and farther behind all the time. But they didn't trade much of nothing last week, and so we're seeing it more influence from the north. But dress sales from 360 to 367, that was $5 to $10 higher. Weighted average on dress steers was 361.88. That was up 412. On Friday, before 2 o'clock, is to report deadline there. They sold 1,100 in Iowa, 15,100 for the week, from 229 to 231 in Iowa live and 365 dressed. Nebraska sold only 200, 17,400 for the week. That's nothing. It was 231 live and 360 dressed. Kansas sold 1,500. They sold 4,000 is all for the week. I know they don't sell that many, but they always sell more than that. Their live price was 218 to 220. See, that's 11 bucks back behind the north. And Texas sold a whopping 400 head last week before 2 o'clock on Friday, and it was at 220 live. Box beef cutout values for the week, all of last week's trade on the choice cuts, $359.13. That was up $9.14. And by the end of the week on Friday afternoon, it was $2.38 better than the weighted average for the week at $361.55. And that thing's due for a rally here, even though it's at all-time record highs. Select weighted average on all of last week's select sales, $347.53, up $10.10. And your weighted average, or your end of the week call compared to the weighted average on Friday afternoon, it was $3 and some cents better than the weighted average at $351.32. Now all that choice select spread on your weighted average was $11.60, and all that information based on 447 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter last week was 570,000. That was 4,000 better than last week. Although we thought it was going to be better, we had a weak Friday. We just had 97,000 on Friday and nothing on Saturday, or 2,000 on Saturday. So it fell back behind. But compared that to a year ago, it was down 32,000. Your Punchy Pick of the Month contest is going to be coming up here at the end of the month, which is right away. And we're going to have the Kids Corral, and that's sponsored by Great Plains Consulting. They can help you out. They can also buy your feedstuffs, and they'll negotiate on them to get you a better price. So that would probably take care of a lot of the expense of their consulting work. Punchy Pick of the Month contest, Beaver County Stockyard sponsors it, has forever. They're a big sponsor. And then of course Fairpiece, you're going to get a whole case of Fairpiece to the winner of that. If you get a Punchy Pick or Kids Corral, either one, send those pictures to punchy@nationalbeefwire.com. You're automatically entered. Let's go to your feeder cattle. It's brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They are working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index ended the week at 298.86. That was down 53 cents, but it traveled quite a bit through the week. It had went up and then back down, and so we're kind of pretty much steady, really, right in there. Now your CME feeder cattle index settled at 295.46, and it's a ways back from your real-time index because they put the cheaper directs in there, and the directs pulled it down quite a bit. Talk about your cash feeders and your sales last week. Steers were steady to $4 higher. Heifers steady to $3 lower, and we talked about that. That was from northern interests pretty much dominating the trade, wanting some feeder cattle, and they were wanting steers more, and they were wanting the best quality steers, and they were willing to pay for that. Calves were fairly uneven. We saw some lower calf prices in a lot of places. Bigger strings of quality calves traded steady to higher, but it was pretty much uneven from around the country. Talk about your sale barns on over the weekend or late last week. They had a special at Turlock, California, the Turlock Showcase Feeder Sale. Huge sale, $33.50 for them. And they were your National Beef Wire stick-out sale of the day. They had 321 head of 5-weight steers. They averaged 566 at $359.87. This is out in California, guys. 1,000 head of 6-weight steers. They averaged 655 at $333.67. 619 head of the 7-weights averaged 734 at $308.21. Heifers, 420 head of the 5-weight heifers. They averaged 551 at $344.81. And 618 head of the 6-weight heifers averaged 640 pounds at Turlock Livestock out in California at weighted average price of $312.54. The biggest stick-out price that I've seen at Turlock was 102 steers, weighed 733 pounds, bring $329.50. Big time quote. How about Bloomington Stockyards Exchange? That's out in Bloomington, Wisconsin. Now they had a Holstein special. It was Holstein steers and Holstein cross steers selling in theirs. And man, they had one bunch or a load of them, 64 head, weighed 781 dairy cross steers at $295.50. Wow. How about Mankato livestock, Mankato, Kansas, 110 steers weighed 973 at $294. But of course, big quote is an always big quote from Friday at Fort Pierre Livestock Auction in Fort Pierre, South Dakota. The Lovejoy outfit, they had their heifers in there. Now they had told me that they sold 275, or he kept back 275 replacement heifers. Then had some bigger heifers, fleshier, that he sent a couple hundred of them to the feed yard. Had some little end off of them. There was 68 heifers, weighed 806, sold them in Fort Pierre for $287. That's impressive right there. But the most impressive quote that I saw was out of Fort Pierre Livestock. Your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day was 65 steers, weighed 799, bring 331. That's awful close to the best quote ever. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.